A just deity rewards good and punishes evil with deserved rewards and punishments. Deserved being the key word. Dear Christians, by this standard, is your God just? The Bible claims again and again that God is just. But let's take a deeper look and see how he holds up to scrutiny. If I shatter your window, a just judge would make me pay for the replacement. If the judge sentenced me to a life of forced labor, the crime and the punishment would not be remotely proportional. In order for a sentence to be just, the severity and duration of the punishment must be proportional to the crime committed. Eternal suffering and damnation for a finite life of sin is not justice. Saddam Hussein murdered hundreds of thousands of his own people and had thousands brutally tortured. But even for him, even for this sadistic evil tyrant, eternal punishment is not just punishment. Just punishment for such crimes would be to be executed hundreds of thousands of times and tortured just as viciously and for just as long as he tortured others. To feel the pain and loss of their families and friends, and to live millions of lifetimes in fear, torture, and suffering. That is justice. Anything more is unjust. Is God just? Ted Bundy, a truly evil serial killer who raped his victims and confessed to the murder of at least 30 people, prayed a deathbed prayer. Did he go straight to heaven? Is that the working of a just God? Contrast that with a child born in Sierra Leone whose parents practice the traditional limbo religion. She's struck with Ebola at age 5 and dies a horrific death 6 days later. Maybe she wanted to believe the truth, to please her family and to love others. Is she condemned to die a horrific death here on earth and be punished eternally in the hereafter, all as punishment for the simple crime of being born into the wrong family? Is that the way of justice? Eternal punishment is not and cannot ever be just. For every billion followers of one religious belief, there are billions of others whose belief systems are in direct contradiction, but they're all equally convinced that they're right. They cannot all be right. They can all be wrong. Would a just God eternally condemn billions simply for being unlucky enough to be born into a region of the world that doesn't worship him? Is that kind of God just? Every day, 21,000 children die globally. And every year, 3.3 million babies are stillborn, and another 3.3 million die within the first month of life. Not even counting early and midterm miscarriages. This makes God the most successful abortionist and the greatest perpetrator of infanticide the world has ever seen. And that's just counting the children. Would a just God execute extreme punishment on billions simply because one man ate the wrong piece of fruit? Were we all cursed with original sin thousands of years before we took our first breath? Is that kind of God just? A study at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center found that violence, psychopathic tendencies, and aggressive behavior were linked to smaller amygdalas in men's brains. Another study at the University of Pennsylvania found a link between impaired amygdala functioning and psychopathic tendencies. If criminal behavior can be linked to a person's neural anatomy, then does God set criminals up for punishment before they're even born? Did he create them that way? Or does God manipulate the hand of men to force them into perpetrating evil deeds? According to Exodus 9:12, God hardened the heart of Pharaoh so that God could get more glory. And as a result, every Egyptian firstborn was slain. All of Egypt suffered from plagues, and the entire Egyptian army was wiped out. Tell me, did God create us sinful, set us up for failure, suffering, and death, and then demand that we praise him while we surrender to his dictatorial will under pain of eternal torture? Or does he just work in mysterious ways?